There are moments in life that don't knock on the door. They don't ask permission. They just arrive. Mine happened in the most ridiculous place imaginable. I was standing in my kitchen, onions sizzling, oil popping, the smoke alarm already judging me. And in the middle of that chaos, I had a conversation. Not with a voice in the room, not with something spooky, but with something far more unsettling. The voice of doubt, the voice of temptation, the voice that tells you you're not enough, that shortcuts are smart, that morality is optional. Let's call that voice the devil, not as a monster with horns, but as the inner negotiator that tries to sell your soul one tiny compromise at a time. And oh, it talks a lot. It says things like, why try so hard? Why care so much? Why not just take what you can? You've heard that voice too. Everyone has. And in that kitchen, I was arguing with it. Not out loud, but in that quiet, intense place inside your head where everything suddenly feels very real. And then something strange happened. Not a thunderbolt, not a glowing figure, just clarity. A moment of stillness so sharp it felt louder than noise. And in that stillness a message formed, not in sound, but in meaning. Before I tell you what it was, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed something ironic about evil? It never looks strong. It looks desperate. It always needs you. It needs your fear, your anger, your insecurity, your exhaustion. It begs for your participation, because real power doesn't need permission. That's the great illusion. The devil doesn't rule anything. It negotiates, it whispers, it pressures, it tries to convince you that it's in charge, because if you ever realized it wasn't, the whole game would collapse. That's why the most dangerous moments in life are not when we're attacked, but when we're tired, when we're lonely, when we feel unseen, when we're angry at the world. That's when the inner voice says, go on, just this once. And suddenly, we're no longer choosing from strength, we're reacting from pain. But here's the twist. The strongest force in a human being is not intelligence. It's not willpower. It's not dominance. It's the heart. The part of you that knows what is right even when no one is watching. The part of you that feels truth before it can explain it. The part of you that doesn't want to win, it wants to be whole. That's why the most powerful people are often the quietest. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to conquer anyone. They're too busy staying aligned with something deeper. And that brings me back to that kitchen. Because in that moment, between the frying pan and the rising smoke, I realized something that changed me. The voice of temptation was loud, but the voice of truth was calm. It didn't threaten. It didn't argue. It simply was. And that's when the message came, not as a command, not as a warning, but as an invitation to think, to remember who we are, to remember what power really means. And now, just as I received it, I'll give it to you. O soul that has taken the shape of a human I created, everything is actually very simple. If the devil truly had power, he would never have had the foolishness to challenge his own creator. His rebellion is not a sign of strength. It is a sign of desperation. Now ask yourself this as a human being. If you were created by someone who gave you existence, ability, and even the freedom to choose, would you turn against them? Those who are guided by their hearts are stronger than those who are guided only by their minds, because God lives there. And when the devil tries to attack you, say this to him. With all your weakness, you dare to give me advice? You should seek refuge in the endlessly forgiving God, so that even after all you've caused, you might still have the face to be forgiven. And just like that, the pan kept sizzling, the onions kept browning, the world kept turning. But something inside me was no longer negotiable. Because when you hear a truth like that, even symbolically, you don't walk away unchanged. You walk away fully awake with unconditional love. Thank you for your time listening this message, beautiful souls. Thank you.